Hi guys, glad you're here. In today's episode, I want to share with you some interesting patterns and some interesting ending results of the October auction, starting with Goldin, PWCC, and alt auctions that went live in October and concluded basically either the second last week of October or the very last week of October. So I hope you find some of these patterns interesting and also use it for your benefit in the future auctions. Let's get started. Before we get started, today's video is brought to you by MySlabs. MySlabs is an amazing place where you can buy, sell waxes, cards, graded cards, comics, and NFT as well. I've personally bought and sold so many different items on this amazing website. If you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to check it out. They have an amazing collection of different sports, different collectibles, different TCGs, to even comics and Marvels and etc. So I've seen nothing but diversity in terms of what kind of inventory they have, and most of all, the amazing fee structure of 1% seller's fee, 1% buyer's fee, and then PayPal fees on top of that makes it very straightforward and simple. And of course, as a seller, the margins of selling on MySlabs over some of the other competing platforms is definitely a gem. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to go right now, check it out, and I hope you find those good deals on MySlabs. Alright, so before I get started with those specific examples of cards that I found very intriguing across all these three different auctions that ended in October, I first want to go over the different fee structures as a buyer and as a seller in these three platforms. And of course, there are other online auction houses like Heritage, etc. But in today's video, we're going to focus on Goldin auctions, PWCC Premier auctions, and the newest alt auction. So let's start with Goldin auction. Goldin auction, as a buyer, you pay a 20% premium on top of the final sale price. So for example, if you want a card's bid at $100, you're going to be paying 120% of that, so $120 as a buyer of that card. And as a seller, what you get from that sale can range anywhere from 100% to 120% of the final sales price. So back to that example, as a seller, you could be taking home $100 or $120 depending on some of the different variables that go into play and negotiations that go into play before the auction is submitted. And for PWCC, as a buyer, the fee structure is similar. There is a 20% buyer's premium, meaning that again, if you purchased a card with a final auction price of $100 on PWCC Premier Auction, you will be paying $120 as the final payment. However, as a seller, there's a bit of differentiation from Goldin, where if an item sells for $250,000 or lower, seller receives 10% more from the final price. If an item sells for between $250,000 to $1 million, the seller receives 12.5% more from the final auction price. And then if an item sells for more than $1 million or higher, the seller receives 115% of the final price. So if an item that you had submitted for auction sells for $10 million, you'll be taking home $11.5 million home according to this fee structure. Pretty cool, right? Lastly, alt auction is very similar to eBay, where there really isn't a fee attached on top of the final price. So if you won the auction at $100, you do pay $100. In terms of the direct fee to alt, there's nothing else on top of that. But as a seller, similar to some of the other auction platforms that's more widely known, there is an 8% seller's fee of the card. So if your card sells for $100, your take home will be $92. So now that you know the different fee structures for the three auction houses and the different fees for as a buyer and as a seller, let's get to these examples. So starting with 2000 playoff contender, card number 144, Tom Brady signed championship ticket rookie card. Wow, that's a long name. Card number 62 out of 100, as you can see on Goldin, sold for a final price of $1.5 million. An incredible card. So, a 20% buyer's premium on that will get you to a 1.8 million. So that's what the buyer must have paid. And then for the seller take home, it would be anywhere between 1.5 and 1.8 million due to sort of like the kickback factor being negotiable, and the rest are take home for Goldin. So a huge card, Holy Grail, it says, that was obtained by a lucky collector. Now when we look at PWCC here, right, same exact card, same grade, BGS 85, and the card number is 97 out of 100. It actually sold for 1.44 million. So it definitely ended about 60k less than what it ended at Goldin. And for the buyer, it's same 20% premium, so it'll get us to 1.728 million, a difference of 72k right there. And then as a seller, however, you're going to get back 1.15 of the selling price, so you will get back an amount of 1.656. This is interesting. Same exact card, same exact grade, different card number, not really significant in card numbers, I don't think. As you can see, you essentially got a 4% discount by purchasing this card on PWCC versus Goldin. And then as a seller, depending on what your actual payout was, I think PWCC might have been more favorable in terms of percentage of the sales price, but definitely not from a perspective of the total price of the card. So super interesting, right? Same exact card, ended the same weekend, but PWCC auction did less by about 4 to 5%. Next example is a card that we are all too familiar with, which is the Michael Jordan 1986 Fleer Basketball rookie card, card number 57. Example I have here is the PSA 9 mint card. So let's start with PWCC first. They're sold for $26,400. That was the last final auction price. And then of course there will be that 20% premium for the buyer, versus if you look at Goldin, so again, same exact card, 1986 Fleer, card number 57, Michael Jordan rookie card, PSA mint 9. The final price here is $29,520. That is a little bit higher, right, than what is sold on PWCC, and to be exact, it's about 10 to 11% higher in terms of card price. So as a buyer, you definitely paid more on Goldin than you had on PWCC, and there may be different reasons why you purchase on Goldin over PWCC. Familiarity, you have credits on Goldin, you have account balances in Goldin that you would like to use, etc. Relationship, of course, there's many different factors, but just purely looking at final value and the amount that came out of your pocket, whoever bought on PWCC essentially got a steal, in my opinion. So as a seller, depending on what the kickback was on Goldin, it could really vary who won in that situation, but I think from a buyer's perspective, PWCC definitely had the deal here. Next card, this is an interesting one. So this card is Clay's National Treasure RPA. We love Clay, can't wait to see him back on the court, shooting those flawless threes here. But anyways, so two same exact cards, so I'm going to look at one from Goldin here. It's lot number 275, 2012 to 13 Panini National Treasures, card number 110, Klay Thompson, signed patch rookie card, 136 out of 199. BGS Gem Mint 95 is where we are at here. This card on Goldin sold for $19,680. So with the buyer's premium attached, that's a final price of $23,616. Now, when we switch over to Alt had actually a very similar looking card. It had that same exact sort of letters that were on the card listed on Goldin, had a bit of yellow, bit of blue of the logo. It was very, very similar. And also a Gem Mint card of 9.5. I think this is quad 9.5s. This ended up going for $12,600. And as a buyer, that's all you really pay. You don't have any buyer's premium to that. So that's a huge difference, right? From a direct numbers perspective, we're looking at a difference of almost $11,000 that's coming out of the buyer's pocket. And then from seller's perspective, on Goldin, maybe you got either 19,680 or 23,616 or anywhere in between. That's what you got paid out. But from a seller's perspective, selling on alt, you had to pay an 8% seller's fee. There wasn't a kickback. So your take home from this sale was 11,592. Think about that. That's almost half of what someone might have taken home at Goldin as a seller. So that's a huge difference, guys. I mean, it's definitely nothing to be overlooked, I think. I mean, same exact card, one, quad 9.5s, one 110, 1.9, I believe the two others 9.5s, same gem mint cards, same patch almost, same auto, same player, but almost half of the value. I mean, that's absolutely insane. So here, I would say a big W for the buyer, a big L for the seller on alt. And the last example, this is a painful one. I don't know who the buyer or the seller of this card was, but man, I feel so bad, in this situation. But let's look at our very last example. So on alt was this 2013 Panini Prism die cut purple Prism Giannis, card number 290, BGS 95, card number 8 out of 49. And this was sold on October 31st at $7,600. I thought that was a steal just right off the bat, looking at the card and then what it went for. I thought that was a big steal. So again, looking at the numbers again, that's again $7,600 out of pocket for the buyer. And then for the seller, there's an 8% seller's fee, getting you to $6,992 in payout. Now, I was doing some research and I looked up the card on eBay for comps. And you won't believe what I found. So on October 13th, so about 16 days before the auction had ended on alt, the same exact card, guys, same exact serial number from BGS, same exact card number, so 8 out of 49, was sold on eBay for $9,400 and $1. Guys, even if this person, maybe use the alt vault as the receiving address in Delaware so they didn't have to pay. Let's just assume that they didn't pay any sales tax on this when they bought it on eBay from MC Sports Cards, it looks like. Guys, and then they sent it straight to the vault and then listed it on the auction, I suppose. And then, got a price of $7,600, final price, minus the 8% seller's fee, getting you down to a little less than $7,000. I don't know what goes through someone's mind when they do this. I mean, I also thought that $7,600 was a steal. Perhaps this card did go undetected and it was a steal for the buyer at $7,600. Not sure entirely what had happened and what's going on in that buyer's mind to list it on alt a little over 2 weeks later, but that is a very painful story to tell. So guys, those were the 4 cards that I saw, in overlap of each other and how each of those cards did in each of those auction houses. And here are some takeaways that I have. 1, if you're a seller, I think you should go to Goldin, especially for the higher ends. And higher ends, a good definition of high end should be maybe anything above 6 figures. Goldin is definitely the winner, the king of high-end cards. So I think they already have a very good traction of customers already and relationships that keeps that auction running at the highest level. Premier auction, I think in general, can be seen as a place where you can get good deals for these mid to higher end deals. Now, I don't know if it's because there's just so many cards there that it doesn't catch the eyes of all the collectors out there, or because not many people trust PWCC. I don't know what the actual drivers of this kind of deals are, but if you're looking for good deals on mid to high end tier cards, I would definitely scoop out PWCC before you jump on anything else. And lastly, alt is unlike Goldin and PWCC in my opinion. Their fee structure is entirely different. It's very similar to how eBay is structured, and the values of the card, the sort of the tiers of the cards that were on this last October auctions were sort of mid to low end cards. personally, in my opinion. Their highest value card that sold was 25K. I believe it was one of the non-rookie Topps Chrome Gold of LeBron James. I think that was the highest card sold. So yeah, I mean, your top end of the bound was 25K. So I would consider alt more comparable to mid to low end tier cards for now, that you can find perhaps good opportunities and deals compared to what recently sold on eBay or whatnot. So that's my takeaway for those auctions. October was crazy, guys. Like, there was the Vegas show when PWCC and Goldin both ended in that same weekend. Then the weekend after was Dallas, where alt auction ended. It was just a massive, just 24/7, looking for deals for a lot of the collectors and investors. Fun times ahead, and I hope to do more of these videos, kind of accumulating data after the fact and seeing who won and who lost. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
That was awesome.